Welcome to That's Time, a speech and debate podcast.
Because there aren't any.
We're your hosts, Astrid
And McCartney.
and we want to give you a formal welcome to our first ever legit episode.
Usually we dedicate one episode a month to debate and the other to speech. But in honor of our first episode, we're going to combine the two for this one.
So today's episode is going to be all about how we came up with That's Time, how we got into speech and debate, and more.
Lit!
So sit back, relax, and could you give me a fist at 10 if I get there?
Before we jump into how we even got into debate, let's start at the very, very, very beginning. Who are we outside of debate?
Good question. Sometimes I question that too, honestly. So I'm Astrid. I'm currently a sophomore in high school. I am hoping to become a lawyer one day, possibly for human rights.
Nerd.
Okay,
My bad.
Yeah, says the PF kid. But
Excuse me.
Excuse you. For me, I am hoping to become a lawyer for human rights. Outside of debate, I figure skate. I'm on a youth council in our community. I do school a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really do anything fun outside of speech and debate. Because, you have skating. I just do speech and debate, and that's it.
That's true. Honestly,
Yeah.
The thing with speech and debate kids, and I feel like a lot of the people listening to the podcast, if any, understand that speech and debate kids really don't do a lot outside of debate, if we're being honest.
Which is probably good, because it's a lot of upkeep.
It is. It's a lot of upkeep. And we're going to talk more about the upkeep later, especially in our later episodes. But that's a little bit about, I guess, just us in general. So let's get to the interesting stuff.
Yes.
How do we actually get into debate, McCartney? What happened?
The
Tell me
very
the story.
beginning
The
of
very
our
beginning.
debate journey.
Our journey. Our journey.
To start out, when we were both in 8th grade, little younglings in a middle school.
That's true. That's what 8th grade is.
The middle school drama teacher had an intro to speech and debate class available for only 8th graders. So there were no smelly, disgusting, rat-tiggity freaking 7th graders in there or anything. It was just us.
Yes! Woo!
And I was like, well, what other elective am I gonna do? I like the speech and debate teacher anyway, so might as well just join. So then I joined, and then I had a good time because I could be funny.
Pretty much. For me, so my story's kind of similar. Me and McCartney have been going to the same school this is our 5th year going to the same school now. Our school is a charter art and science school. So she's a little fancy, but it's very broke.
So not that fancy.
No, not really. But me and McCartney met during COVID online in 6th grade with that same drama teacher.
No.
McCartney does not like to talk about
No.
this because it gets...
Since it was online school because it was during COVID, and it was a drama class, we had to film ourselves, acting out a thing that... And it's so embarrassing.
We don't really talk about it. It gets a little intense. It's a little too emotional for McCartney to talk about.
It was so bad.
It was really bad.
It was so bad.
What made me so sad, too, was we used to have the recordings for it up until about, I want to say, a year ago. And then our old drama teacher, who is actually the hero in this beginning journey, she left the school to go on and pursue some better things. And so her school email got deleted. So all the videos in the drive got completely wiped.
For the best. That
Not
is for the best.
Okay, so McCartney's a little bit of a hater, as some may say.
I'm not a hater. I am
Just
simply
an alligator.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we met on Zoom, in 6th grade with that same drama teacher who eventually got McCartney into it, and I was taking the drama class with McCartney. I took that class as an elective for 2 years straight. 2 full years I took it, and I loved it. I loved our drama teacher. She was awesome. And I think it was when I was in 7th grade, we were in class and we were voting on which play we were going to do. And Miss Hughes, who also she was the drama teacher, by the way. She also taught middle school drama, and she taught debate at the same time, speech and debate at the same time. So she was a busy bee. And so she asked, like, hey, does anyone want to give a speech on whether or not we should do this play or whatever? And I raised my little hand and I said, Miss Hughes, I have a speech. And so I went up to the front of the class and I gave a speech. And she pulled me aside afterwards and was like, I think you'll be really good for the speech and debate team next year.
That's crazy, because I just joined the class because I was like, what else am I going to do?
So I joined the speech and debate class, and I have done it ever since. This is my 3rd competitive season, which is pretty crazy. It's also McCartney's 3rd competitive season, technically. Although
actually
it's your
no,
second,
because I was going to go to a tournament in the novice category in 8th grade, but there was like really bad weather that year because it was in the winter. So the tournament was canceled, so I just didn't end up competing at all in 8th grade. So technically, this is only my 2nd competitive year, but I've been involved in speech and debate for like 3 years.
That's fair, yeah. No, that's understandable. We had some bad storms in like 8th grade, I think it was, which prevented, I think we were going to go, I don't remember what the tournament was called.
It was Union. We were going to go to Union.
A whole bunch of kids were going to go to it, and then, well, nobody good because the tournament got canceled, which is actually kind of unheard of. Tournaments don't really get canceled, which is odd because sometimes I really think they should.
So technically, my first tournament experience literally wasn't even a tournament.
I guess that's true. Yeah, your first ever tournament experience wasn't a tournament. And honestly, first tournament experiences are just insane. And I think it'd be kind of funny if we talked about
first real tournament outside of canceled ones.
Okay, moving on from canceled tournaments, let's be real here. So I guess McCartney, since you never got to go to that Union tournament, would you like to talk about your legit first tournament?
So I have 2 separate first tournaments. One was not that bad, and the other was horrible. I had a first debate tournament, and that was like my first ever tournament ever. And then after that was my first speech tournament, and that one was bad.
I was the same, yeah.
Yeah. In my first debate tournament, I was forced by Rainey Spindle, our current speech and debate coach, to do...
Shout out, Rainey.
Yes.
She will probably be our one and only listener on here.
Yes. She forced me to do LD. It was also like the only form of debate that I had learned, so I didn't really have much of a choice. But I did LD at this tournament, and I was in novice, and this was a big tournament. There were like, I think there were like 33 other competitors in just the novice category for LD.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's a huge tournament, yeah.
And
at least for Oklahoma.
Yeah. So I went la-di-da-di-da throughout my rounds. It was fine. I mean, for a beginner, I didn't do terrible. But,
yeah, for a beginner, you did amazing.
Well, here's the thing. Because this tournament was in the peak of flu season, I happened to obtain a absolutely horrendous cough at this time. And I took cough medicine, I took cough drops, and I could not stop coughing. Nothing worked. I just had a cough and cough and cough. It was like an infinite, like, tickle in your throat situation. Literally. It was like that. It was bad. It was bad.
Were you a sheep?
Yes! It was
bad.
It was ludicrous. But, this tournament was 2 days because, not to brag, but I ended up breaking.
Yeah!
Which I don't know how, because my first 3 rounds, I just was, like, basically holding in coughs through the entire time, so I was like, like, holding in coughs throughout my entire rounds. But then the next day, when oh, by the way, they didn't announce breaks until that morning, so I woke up to a phone call at, like, 8:30 a.m. saying, hey, McCartney, you broke. You need to get back to this tournament right now and go to your round right away because they're starting soon. So I rushed and I woke my dad up and I slipped on my tournament attire so quickly. And we zoomed to the tournament and I ran to my round. And then I got there and I tried to hold in my coughs. I was minorly successful, but...
Hey, that's better than no successful. Success? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Success. But after that, there was another break round because there was 33 competitors in that category, so there was a lot of competition. So I made it to that. It was the semi-final round, I think. Mm-hmm. And I lost it. I was destroyed.
The story makes me laugh every time.
First of all was flight 2, so the whole time I was waiting to go into my round, I was just hacking and hacking in front of my opponent, by the way. And then we went into the round, and it would be like my opponent's prep time, and I just couldn't hold it in, so I would cough the entire time.
And the opponent's like, Judge, can I take 2 minutes of running prep? And McCartney's over here.
Ew!
That's so great.
Ew.
I love it.
No. And then I lost that round.
This is a real story.
So my first tournament, I did not place, but I ended up getting, I think it was 5th out of the 33 people that were competing.
Really? So actually kind of impressive.
Not bad. But I had a cough the whole time. My first speech tournament is a different story, though.
Okay.
So my first speech tournament was I was doing info, and I was going to make a really, really cool visual aid, because this info was I wrote it as a joke, but I turned it into an actual speech because I was like, why not? But I wrote this info about how much I hate olives.
Goated speech. This is like one of my favorite infos ever, actually.
No bias.
Oh my god.
So we were going to make like a really cool visual aid, and it was going to be like an olive jar, and I would like take out the olives and I would throw them away, and I'd be like, they are so bad, and it would be like really, really cool. But this tournament was coming up soon, and I had nothing. So the night before the tournament, I went to Michael's and I bought a poster board, and then I grabbed out my Crayola markers, and I drew an olive jar and made some flaps for each of my like 3 points that you have on there, because you have 3 points throughout your info speech. And I decided, it's fine, it's just for the first tournament, I'll just use this, flip the flaps over, and I'll get the speech done with. Yeah. But then I went to my round, and thank goodness gracious Goshua that there were only 2 other competitors, so either way I would have like auto-qualified and automatically got a medal, but also I didn't have to embarrass myself in front of a whole group of people.
That's nice. It's better than not having like 20 people spectating or something.
Well, I did bring in one of my own spectators. Shout out to Madeline.
Yes, Madeline is the pro spectator on our team, actually.
She's watched me in all the most ludicrous rounds. But I brought her in there because I was scared, and it was like my first ever speech run, and I was like, I want a friend, I want moral support. So I dragged her along by the ear in there.
The ear, fully dragging her.
No, she willingly went. But
for legal purposes, she legally walked with us.
Yeah,
with McCartney.
Exactly. She willingly stepped into the room, held the door for me and everything.
Oh.
But anyways, actually, I'm pretty sure the door had a doorstop. But I was the first to give my speech in the room. So I walked up there. I walked up with my janky little poster board holder, and I didn't realize how big this poster board was and how absolutely like flapalicious it was.
Flapalicious.
Yes, it was flapalicious because it was so big, and it was like thick paper, but it was thin overall because it wasn't like one of those
not like
foam
cardstock or anything.
Yes, it was like flappy. So I put it on there, on the like poster board stand, the best that I could, and I was like, it's fine. So I started giving my speech. First of all, forgot half my intro, so I stood up there for a good second saying, and by the way, the intro of this speech had a lot of like statistical numbers in there to like draw the audience in, I guess. And I was in the middle of the speech, and I just completely forgot one of the numbers, so I like made one up. McCartney! I made one up. And I stuttered, and then I kept going, it was fine. And then I moved on to my first point, and in the middle of my speech, this poster board goes tumbling to the ground. It fell straight on the floor. The stand fell backwards. The poster board fell straight to the ground.
Oh, God.
And Madeline was a witness of all of it. So in the middle of my speech, I'm like walking sideways, like still talking, picking up my poster board and the stand, talking while I'm facing the audience and setting it up. I'm not even looking at the poster board as I put it back.
No.
I'm talking and facing the audience and like trying to like, without looking, put the poster board on the stands to the side of me.
Oh my God.
And I couldn't get it, so I held it up with one hand for the rest of the entire speech.
Oh, no.
It was so bad. It was like tomfoolerous. It was tomfoolerous.
It's a poster board nightmare.
Yeah, but I somehow ended up getting first place out of the two other
That was
people
a great
there.
tournament.
No idea how, because looking back, that was like a treacherous journey.
Treacherous. It
was
was
treacherous.
treacherous. I sadly was not witness to that round, and
Good,
I'm
Astrid.
sad about
I'm
that.
very glad.
I think I was at that tournament, but I don't think I definitely didn't come to that round.
You didn't spectate that round.
No.
I would have known.
McCartney was not at any of my first tournaments because mine were in. Yeah, well, if you had chosen to go somewhere other than Union.
It was
okay.
the closest.
Oh, whatever. So she wasn't there for either tournament. And I was a little 8th grader. So I also have 2 different first tournaments. I have my first ever debate tournament, which, like McCartney, was my first ever tournament and was probably the most ludicrous tournament experience I have ever experienced. And then I have my first speech tournament, which was actually a pretty good time, surprisingly.
So the opposite.
Yeah, I'll be honest. McCartney and me, I feel like, are polar opposites when it comes to speech and debate events. I am a speech kid at heart, and McCartney, I think, is...
I'm a speech kid at heart, but also I like actually enjoy doing debate, whereas Astrid does not.
I enjoy...
Well, I'm a speech kid at heart if it's a funny speech.
I enjoy policy sometimes. I've done policy debate a few times. That's about it. And LD, which...
We all started out with LD.
Leads me to my
all
first
started out with
experience. A thing you have to know about our team. So obviously we used to have Miss Hughes as a coach during our novice year, and then the power got transferred over to Raina Fred Spindelia IV, who is our current coach. Esquire, who's our current coach. And so Rainey and Miss Hughes made everybody do LD as their first debate event. I don't know why we still do LD as the first event you learn. I don't know, but it's just how we roll. And so I, like McCartney, pulled up to this tournament as a little tiny 8th grader who had practiced sparring their little LD case in class with their other classmates, and didn't go too well. So my first tournament, I think for debate, it was probably only 4 months after I joined the class. I did not have a whole bunch of time. And the chaos started the second we left the school to go to this tournament. Literally the second. So I left the tournament. I was in my nice dress. I was in, some heels. I had my hair, kind of straightened because I have really curly hair. So I had it, sort of straightened. And the people coming with me were Jules, who is no longer on the team. I don't think she ever moved up to varsity, but
she just quit after novice.
She's the GOAT, though. Hayden was there, who's actually still on the team. And that's really the only people I remember being there.
Didn't he wear, shorts?
I'm getting to that part.
Oh, okay.
Also, I apologize if you can hear the construction in the background.
There's construction next door.
There is.
We're just at my cozy little abode.
Cozy little abode. But, so yeah, Hayden, me, and Jules walked on into this tournament ready to rock and roll. Or at least I did. So the second we left the school, I was in my nice outfit, and Hayden was wearing gym shorts. I'm pretty sure a dirty t-shirt.
Oh.
And, some random tennis shoes.
Yikes.
It was interesting. And I will say, I am definitely one of those people that, I 100% think that you shouldn't judge someone in a round, placement-wise, based on the clothing that they're wearing. But on our team, it's just kind of an unspoken mannerism, I guess. I don't know, I think it's the same thing as, why people don't, burp in other people's faces at the dinner table. like, it doesn't really, I guess, matter in the long run, but it's just kind of a thing we do as manners. So on our team, like, a manner is just to wear nice clothes. So Hayden was not wearing nice clothes, and we were in the car. I was carpooling with Hayden, and Rainey actually was driving us. It was the only time I've ever ridden in Rainey's car.
That's crazy.
She was driving us to this tournament, and we had some random music blasting, and me and Hayden, I'm not even kidding, literally fought about it the entire way to this tournament. It was it was at least 15 minutes away, I think, and we were bickering the entire way there about his clothing, about his events, about the fact that his cases were not done very well.
Events was he doing?
He was doing LD too. Hayden was at my first ever tournament. Shout out Hayden. And so we were bickering the entire way there. So that was our setup. We walk into this tournament, and I'm already like, this is not going to go well. Like, the second I walk in, I'm like, my stomach is churning. I'm not feeling good. So we sit down in this cafeteria. There's not a lot of people here, because it feels like nobody else, like, besides Novice was at this tournament. But also, I could have been wrong about that, and just my mind has, like, focused it in on just the novices. So finally, I don't even remember what flight I am. I think I'm flight 1. I go straight to my round, basically. So I walk in there. I'm feeling pretty confident. I go in there with my little laptop, my school-issued Chromebook, and, like, some pieces of flow sheet paper that Miss Susan Rainey printed out for me. So I walk in there, and I sit my little butt down, and I do my first round. And it's not that bad.
Yay!
It's pretty okay. I'm against this guy. I don't remember a lot about him. And it was fine. It was a very novice round. And so I leave the round. I'm feeling okay. I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
maybe,
you can, Astrid.
Maybe I am an LDer.
Believe you can achieve.
Believe you can achieve. So I get ready to go to my second round. I prepare myself. I'm outside my room. I'm kind of just chilling. And my opponent... I know it's my opponent, because she's like, you know, she's giving you that, like, opponent smile. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
I
there's
know
a specific face.
Like, if you're waiting outside of your round and they walk by you and you stay, they'll see you standing by the room that you're about to go into, so they'll kind of, like, look at you.
Yeah. There's a very specific, like, almost customer service smile face.
I feel like especially in LD.
100%. LD is so... I'm sorry. I'm so biased. I do not like LD. I will be honest with y'all.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, exactly. So I walk into this room after we've kind of been waiting for the judge to show up. We walk in, we sit down, and we get ready to begin this debate round. So I don't even remember what sides of the debate we were on, honestly. I remember what the room looked like, and I remember what the judge looked like. So we give our constructive speeches, and the second that she starts her constructive speech, I'm like, I'm cooked. Because she is, like, spreading like crazy. I can't understand a word she's saying. She's going so fast. She's speaking with that intense debater voice that Levi, who is someone on our team, speaks with, but really fast.
He's just passionate.
Yeah, very passionately, I guess is the way I could describe it. Like, she was good. She was really good for novice. And so I was freaking out, like shaking in my little toes over here.
I just remembered something after this.
Yeah. So I'm shaking in my toes, and I get ready. It was either during cross or one of my rebuttal speeches, and I just crack. Like, I begin to talk and I just stop. And I start sobbing.
Poor ass.
In the room. It gets worse because the judge looked at me and said, "Do you need to throw up?"
Hello? Oh my gosh, what? The judge asked you that?
Yes. And I said, "No, I think I'm okay."
What? What? So why did the judge ask you that of all things? Did you look like you were going to throw up?
I mean, maybe. So we stopped the round completely and just didn't finish it. And we sat in there for the rest of the entire hour that we were supposed to be debating.
Why would you sit in there?
Talking about debate. And they were trying to comfort me because I was, like, low-key still freaking out. The topic was something, and here's the reason why I don't do LD anymore and why I didn't do it after this first tournament. It is morality-based, for those of you who are just listening for the yapping. LD is a very morality-based debate. And the topic hit very close to home for me. It was about something that I had kind of had some firsthand experience with. And so obviously I was trying to put that aside, because when you walk into a debate round, and then, again, this is something...
all of your own, like, personal values go out the window, because you're just supposed to argue for whatever side you're given, whether 100%. You agree with it morally or not.
100%. And so I, like, did my best to put that aside, but I mean, it was my first ever debate tournament. I had never done this before, and I was a kid. It was 8th grade. And so I did not do a great job of that, I will admit, and I cracked.
Are you gonna throw up?
Literally. So I walk out of that round, I'm not feeling great at all, but it's fine, it's whatever, my tears are dried. I walk out of the round, I sit with Hayden and Jules and a few of the other teammates, and we just kind of chat for my final round. So I'm waiting outside the door, and I see the guy that I am about to go in a debate round with.
Oh, you got the LD stare again?
He's got the LD stare. I think I still see this guy at tournaments sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know if he remembers me or not, but I remember him.
Oh.
And I know what his face, and I know what his hair looks like. I don't know his name. I don't remember his name. But we go into this round together, and it was actually a really great round. I thought it was really good. What I knew about this guy before I went in there is that he had debated some of my other friends who were in the novice category. And he was good too. I felt like it was a good round. It was productive. I was proud of myself for doing another round after the second round.
Yeah.
But we walk out of this round, and we're walking back to the cafeteria together, and he's like, I think you debated better than the rest of your friends today. I was like,
oh my gosh.
This is wildly awkward. And I tried so hard to play it off by, like, being like, thanks. It was really awkward.
That's so peculiar.
We finally make it back to the cafeteria. And again, I feel like this tournament may have been only novice debating, because when we go back to the cafeteria, literally about like an hour later, they announced breaks in front of everyone. They just stood on the stairs and said who was breaking into the next day, which was weird, but I digress. Spoiler alert, I did not break.
Aww.
I'm pretty sure I either went 0-3 or 1-2, which means either
you lost all of your rounds or you lost two of them.
Either I lost all of my rounds or I only lost 2 of them, which is really bad.
It's fine.
Fun fact, about a year later, when it was my freshman year, my freshman speech and debate career was actually pretty goated. But I was at Trader Joe's, and I saw that same girl that I started sobbing in the round with.
Oh my gosh!
And I saw her, but I'll tell you, I'll put my head down, and I kept walking forward. But she called out my name. She went, "Are you Astrid?" And I looked back, and
oh my god!
I went, "Oh my god!" And it was really bad. And I did not think she had remembered me, and it was terrible. And that interaction has haunted me to this day, and that is why I don't do LD anymore. That is the worst tournament I've ever been to in my life. My first beach tournament was better. I'm not really going to go into the nitty-gritty of it, because it was great. It was a cold December month. I was with my friends. I did novice poetry.
No terrible cough.
It was great. The only part that I really think has any significance, I got first in novice poetry, and then before my round, one of our teammates, who's also still on the team, named Atlas, made me stand outside in the cold for an hour straight. Let me remind you, it's December, and while this is Oklahoma, it was like at least 40, 30 degrees. It was cold as butt. And I was wearing a dress. So we stood out there for an hour going over my speech. When I walked in, my thighs were red.
Oh my gosh!
It was rough. But that's really all I remember from my first speech tournament. And so ever since then... What a fun story. Ever since then, I've done speech and not debate. And that's why I don't do LD.
Well, see, circling back to the topic of LD, when you were yapping about how you were yapping about Levi.
Yes, McCartney's
and his
PF partner, by the way.
Yes, we're now PF partners. But you were talking, I don't know, the name was brought up, and it reminded me, another detail of my first debate tournament is, we had paper cases. Our cases printed out on paper.
Please never use
Never. Absolutely not. Please use your computer.
ASMR segment.
But back then, ASMR.
ASMR.
But back then we had our little paper cases. And I had just finished my third debate round of that tournament, like before anybody broke or anything. It was one of the like prelim rounds. So, and Levi was at that tournament, and I think it was his first LD tournament too. I'm not 100% sure, but he was a novice. Nice. And, okay, sorry. He was flight 2 of his round, so by the time I got out of my round, I saw him about to go into his round, and he was freaking out. He was like, I don't have a negative case. So,
oh no.
So I say, hey, do you want to use mine? And I let him have it, and, so I let him use my negative case, so he's locked in, and then I go home. And the next day...
I forgot about this part.
Yes, I got a phone call. Hey, you broke. It's time to go back. So I rushed back to the tournament. And I guess Levi didn't break because I didn't see him there. But I was about to go into my first round of that day. And I was like, oh my gosh. I only have my affirmative case. And thank gosh I got AF for that debate round. So I could debate the case that I actually had. But after that... I was waiting for my second round because I broke to the semifinals. So I was waiting for the semis round, and
my tummy just grumbled.
And it was announced that it was going to be one of the they flip a coin, and whoever wins the coin flip gets to choose what side they argue for. So I was like, if I get put on negative, I'm screwed.
You're cooked. You're gonna have to argue nothing.
I am cooked because I would have nothing.
Why didn't you call Levi?
Because I didn't have his number back then.
That's funny. Okay, continue.
We were just little novices who didn't know each other.
That's true.
We were a grade apart. We never hung out. Okay, but so I tell Rainy Spindle, our debate coach, hey, I don't have my negative case. Levi has it, and he's not here. So we get somebody who used to be on the team that low-key, I don't even know who it was at this point. I completely forgot, but they're not on the team anymore. But they were doing some other type of debate, and it wasn't said which type of debate, but they sent me their negative case.
Oh, nice.
But it was literally just a source with something on it that was from, a .com website. So who knows if it was even, credible. So I was like, okay, I guess if I get negative, I'll just make it up as I go.
Oh my god.
So I walked into my finals round, and we did a coin flip, and thank freaking Goshua goodness that I won that coin flip. I got put on affirmative. Thank gosh, because I lost that round anyway, but if I was put on negative, I would have
no chance.
Cooked to a crisp.
Oh god. That is...
Shout out Levi for taking my
Levi.
case.
This is the origin story of
Yeah.
McCartney and Levi as a PF team, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Back in the LD days.
Back in the LD days.
Yes.
Disclaimer, if you do LD,
I don't understand.
I'm sorry, and I don't understand why you would do that to yourself.
Don't use paper cases, guys.
Don't use paper cases.
And if you do not give them to somebody.
No, never give your... Or just make more copies.
That's true.
But again, please don't use paper cases. Also, disclaimer, if you use paper cases, I also don't understand you, but I respect your commitment to what you want
something
in
else.
your life. Yeah. Speaking of why I don't understand people... Let's talk about why you don't understand why we started this podcast.
Oh, yes.
Great question.
How did we even
This is the last
start
topic
the
for the
podcast?
day. This is the last.
Yes.
So, originally, I think the idea for the podcast, I was doing policy this year, and I was competing with a policy partner, and I had never done policy before, so I was kind of freaking out. So, of course, I went onto the interwebs to be able to find some helpful sources. So I logged onto my little Spotify account, and I searched up
Spotify.
policy debate. And I found a few policy debate podcasts, But then I was like, you know what? I wonder if there are any speech and debate podcasts. And so I searched it up, and there were not. There were literally none. And people, y'all know, if you have a unique idea that nobody else has published on the internet, you know that you have to hop on that train before somebody else does. Because being unique is so hard to do these days. So
nowadays nobody's original.
Oh, stop. So I went to McCartney and I was like, McCartney, there are no podcasts about speech and debate, and we do speech and debate.
And I was like, hey, I like podcasts. I like speech and debate.
So we decided, why the heck not? And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to thank you if you made it this far in the episode. I am concerned for your mental health.
I applaud your attention span.
Me too.
I do not have that.
Next week, I guess not next week, in 2 weeks, we will be
Precisely.
resuming back with, I think we're going to start off with debate next week. So that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
So in 2 weeks, not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday afterwards, you can catch our next episode. It's going to be about debate, and I think it's going to be about PF. So
let's go.
We're pretty excited. It's going to be all about PF tips and tricks, what PF is, and we might even have a special guest for it, depending on their availability.
Yes.
So make sure you watch out for that. But other than
Look out!
Look out!
Yeah.
But other than that, I honestly think that's all the news we've got.
I guess you could say
that's time.